In the year 2475, humanity had reached the stars. After centuries of hard work and discovery, Earth was no longer alone. Many alien races had joined a great group called the Galactic Concord. The Concord was a place where different species met, traded, and made friends. But Earth was still small and not very powerful in this huge galaxy. One day, a strange message arrived on Earth. It came from the Xalvari Dominion, a powerful and proud alien empire. The Xalvari were tall, elegant, and very different from humans. Their queen, Virelia, was famous across the stars for her strength and wisdom. The message invited Earth to join a special contest, a contest that would decide if humans could become true allies of the Xalvari. The contest was unusual. It was not about fighting or technology. It was a test of biology and connection. The Xalvari wanted to see if a human could bond with their queen on a genetic level. The winner would gain great honor and a chance to build a strong alliance. Many on Earth thought this was a joke. How can humans compete with such an advanced race? They asked. But the leaders of Earth took it seriously. They chose Dr. Elias Thorne for the task. Elias was a scientist and diplomat. He knew a lot about alien life and was brave. He agreed to represent humanity, not just for science, but for the future of Earth. Elias traveled to the Xalvari homeworld, a planet called Virelis. The planet was beautiful but strange, with purple skies and glowing plants. The Xalvari welcomed him with respect, but also with cold eyes. Queen Virelia herself appeared before him. She was tall and graceful, with skin that shimmered like stars. She looked down on humans, thinking they were weak and simple. The contest began. Elias had to undergo many tests. The most important was the biolink ceremony. This was when the queen and the chosen one connected their bodies and genes. It was a sacred and ancient ritual. No human had ever been close to completing it. As the ceremony started, Elias felt a strange energy. His body changed and adapted. The queen's eyes widened in surprise. Something impossible happened. Elias's genetic material fused perfectly with the queen's. The system that tested her ability to bear offspring started glowing. The queen was pregnant on the very first try. This shocked everyone. No one had ever seen this before. The Xalvari royal scientists ran tests again and again. The result was always the same. Elias had succeeded. Queen Virelia was furious, but not only because this was unexpected. She felt fear. If humans could do this, what did it mean for the future of her empire? And for her own rule? The palace went silent, and Elias was taken to a guarded room. The contest was over, but the real story was just beginning. After the shocking news of the queen's pregnancy, the palace of Virelia became a place full of tension. The Xalvari had never faced anything like this before. No one could believe that a human had succeeded in the ancient biolink ceremony, and even more, that the queen was pregnant from it. The royal scientists worked day and night to understand the situation. Queen Virelia was furious. She sat on her great throne, tall and proud, her sharp eyes glowing with anger. She was a strong leader who never showed weakness. This human, she thought, he has broken the laws of our genetics. He has challenged the very foundation of our empire. But inside, she also felt fear. What if this new life could change everything? Elias Thorne was kept in a special room in the palace. It was comfortable but heavily guarded. The Xalvari officers watched him closely. Elias did not feel afraid. He was calm and curious. He knew he was part of something very important, something that could change the future. The next day, the queen appeared before Elias. She did not yell or show anger. Instead, she spoke with cold control. "You have done what no one else could," she said. "But now, you must prove you are worthy to carry this bond. The challenge continues." Elias listened carefully. The contest was far from over. He had to face more trials. The queen explained that the Xalvari valued strength, intelligence, and loyalty. Elias would need to show he had all three. The first test was physical. Elias had to train with the royal guards. The Salveri were stronger and faster than humans, but Elias was smart and determined. He pushed his body harder than ever before. Day by day, he learned their fighting style and began to match their speed. The queen watched, her expression unreadable. The second test was mental. Elias studied the Salveri language, history, and science. He learned about their culture and their ancient traditions. He worked with their scholars and scientists, sharing human ideas and listening carefully. This test was about respect and understanding. If Elias could truly connect with the Salveri people, the bond would be stronger. During this time, rumors spread through the palace. Some nobles whispered that the queen's pregnancy was a sign of weakness. Others feared it was a threat to their power. The court was divided. The queen's advisors urged her to end the pregnancy, to remove the human problem before it grew too dangerous. But Varelia refused. She had seen something in Elias, a spark of something rare and powerful. She said, "This child could be the key to a new future. We cannot let fear decide." As the weeks passed, Elias and the queen met often. They talked about their worlds, their hopes, and fears. A strange respect grew between them. Varelia saw Elias not as a weak human, but as a partner. Then came the final test, a biological scan to see if the pregnancy was stable. The Salveri scientists worked with Earth's experts, including Elias. The results stunned everyone. The embryo was healthy, strong, and showed signs of unique genetic strength. It was a perfect mix of human creativity and Salveri power. The queen stood before her court, ready to make a choice that could change the galaxy forever. The great hall of the Salveri palace buzzed with whispers and tense looks. News of Queen Varelia's pregnancy had spread quickly, and every noble, soldier, and servant spoke in hushed voices. None could believe that a human male, Elias Thorne, had achieved what centuries of Salveri history said was impossible. In the center of it all, Queen Varelia sat on her throne, radiating both power and confusion. Her sharp eyes, usually filled with pride, now carried a flicker of something new, fear mixed with curiosity. She had been raised to believe that Salveri were perfect. Their genes were the strongest in the galaxy, shaped by thousands of years of careful breeding. No one else could match their biology. Until Elias. Elias, too, felt the weight of the moment. He had expected challenges, but nothing like this. The bond he shared with the queen was more than just a contest. It was history in the making. Every day, he studied her, the palace, and the science behind the pregnancy. The doctors confirmed again and again. The embryo was developing faster than any Salveri child before it. It was stable and healthy, but unlike anything seen before. Varelia's anger grew, but so did her respect for Elias. He was not just a human, he was something else. His DNA was unique, not weak, but powerful in a different way. The queen ordered her scientists to study Elias's genetics carefully. They found strange markers in his genes, markers that explained why the bond worked so well. Humans were unpredictable and adaptable. Their DNA could change quickly, and that made them dangerous, but also strong. The palace council was divided. Some nobles demanded the pregnancy be ended immediately. They saw it as a threat to the Salveri's purity and power. Others whispered about the possibilities, a new era where humans and Salveri might unite, creating a stronger future for both species. Varelia called a secret meeting with her closest advisors. "This child," she said quietly, "is more than a symbol. It is the next step for our people. We must protect it." Meanwhile, Elias was not idle. He spent his days learning the secrets of Salveri biology, hoping to help the queen and her people understand the new life growing inside her. He worked with the royal doctors, sharing human knowledge about genetics and medicine. But not everyone wanted peace. Hidden enemies in the palace began to plot. They saw Elias as an invader and the pregnancy as a dangerous mistake. One night, Elias narrowly escaped an attempt to poison him. Guards found him just in time, but it was clear his presence was a threat to some powerful forces. Queen Virelia was furious when she heard. She ordered her best warriors to protect Elias and increase security around the palace. She realized that this contest was turning into a battle for the future of her empire, and Elias was at the center of it. Despite the danger, Elias felt a strange bond growing with Virelia. They were no longer just ruler and contestant. They shared a secret, a future that could unite their worlds or tear them apart. As the embryo grew stronger, so did the tension in the palace. Everyone waited to see what would happen next. The great hall of the Salveri Palace was colder than usual. Queen Virelia sat on her throne, her face hard and her eyes blazing with fury. The news of her pregnancy had shaken the very foundations of the empire. No one dared challenge her, except the fact that this child growing inside her was fathered by a human. She clenched her fists, the weight of her crown heavy on her head. How could this happen? How could a human male, a species they considered weak and primitive, succeed where no Salveri ever had? The thought made her blood boil. Her pride was wounded, her authority questioned. The court was divided. Some whispered behind closed doors, calling the child an abomination. Others saw it as a challenge to old ways, a chance for change. But Virelia would not let her empire crumble, not because of a human. The queen's advisors crowded around her, their faces full of worry. "Your Majesty," one began, "this pregnancy threatens the purity of our bloodline. We must act quickly." Another nodded, "Terminate the embryo before it grows. Preserve the strength of the Salveri." Virelia shook her head. "No," she said, voice cold and clear. "This child is mine, and it will live." Her decision shocked everyone. The queen was known for her strictness, her loyalty to tradition. Yet here she stood, defending a bond no one else could understand. Meanwhile, Elias Thorne was confined to his quarters. The palace guards watched him closely. He was no longer a visitor or a contestant. He was a symbol, a threat, and a hope all at once. Elias felt the tension in the air. The palace that once welcomed him was now a place of suspicion. But Elias did not give up. He continued to work with the royal scientists, helping them study the unique embryo. Together, they discovered that the child's genes combined human creativity with Salveri strength in ways no one had predicted. It was a new kind of life, one that might change the galaxy forever. Queen Virelia visited Elias often. Their meetings were private and tense, filled with questions and cautious respect. She wanted to understand him, the human who had broken her empire's rules. "You are different," she said once, looking at him closely. "Stronger than I imagined." Elias smiled faintly. "Humans are adaptable. We survive because we change." Despite her fury, Virelia felt a strange connection growing between them. The child they shared was a bridge between two worlds, and she could not deny the hope it gave her. Outside the palace, unrest grew. Loyalists to the queen's decision clashed with those who opposed it. Rumors spread of secret plots to end the pregnancy by force. The Salveri Empire was on the edge of chaos. One night, as the stars shone bright over Virelis, an explosion rocked the outer walls of the palace. Guards rushed to the scene. Elias was rushed away to safety. Queen Virelia stood on her balcony, staring out at the dark horizon. Her empire was changing, and so was she. The furious queen was becoming a queen who fought not just for power, but for a future no one could yet see. The palace of Virelis was no longer just a home for the queen. It had become a fortress. After the explosion, security tightened. The threat to Queen Virelia and Elias Thorne was real, and enemies lurked in the shadows. But inside the palace walls, something unexpected was happening. Science and politics were weaving a dangerous dance. Elias spent long hours in the royal laboratories, working alongside Salveri scientists. They were experts in genetics and biology, but even they had never seen anything like the hybrid embryo growing inside the queen. The embryo's genes combined human and salivary traits in a way that surprised everyone. One scientist, Dr. Keeler, was especially interested. He was young but brilliant and curious about how two such different species could create life together. Elias explained human DNA's ability to adapt quickly, how it changed and evolved over time. The salivary had strong, stable genes, but they lacked the human ability to surprise and grow new traits. The scientists ran tests, shared data, and debated. The embryo's health was strong, but it was developing faster than normal. They worried about what this might mean for the queen's body and the future child. Some feared the queen might not survive the pregnancy. Meanwhile, news of the pregnancy spread quietly through the Concord's networks. It became a scandal. Many races were shocked or suspicious. Some saw it as a threat to the balance of power. Others whispered about the possibility of a new alliance, one that could reshape the galaxy. The Salivary Council was divided. The older members wanted to stop the pregnancy by force. They feared losing control. The younger members sought a chance to create something new and stronger. The debate grew louder. Queen Virelia refused to bow to pressure. She called a private meeting with her closest advisors. "This child is more than a problem to solve," she said firmly. "It is our future." Elias attended the meeting, surprising many. He spoke about cooperation and hope. "This child can unite our peoples. We can learn from each other, grow stronger." But not everyone wanted peace. Some nobles began secret meetings, plotting to remove Elias and end the pregnancy. Their plans grew more dangerous. One night, Elias discovered a hidden lab beneath the palace. Inside, rogue scientists were working on cloning the embryo, trying to create weapons from its powerful genes. Elias knew this could lead to disaster. He alerted Queen Virelia immediately. The queen was furious. She ordered the lab destroyed and the rebels arrested. Her trust in Elias grew stronger. He was not just a human. He was a partner in the fight for the future. The scandal did not end. Rumors swirled, alliances shifted, and the palace became a place of both science and secrets. But through it all, the queen and Elias prepared for the greatest challenge yet, the birth of a child that could change everything. The great hall was filled with tension. The Salivary Council gathered, their faces serious. The question on everyone's mind was clear. What should they do about Queen Virelia's pregnancy? Some council members wanted to end it, fearing the unknown child could weaken the empire. Others believed the child could bring new strength and hope. Queen Virelia stood before them, her voice strong and clear. "This child is not a mistake," she said. "It is a symbol of change, and it is my choice to protect it." Her words echoed through the room, silencing many. She was the ruler, and her decision was final. The council grudgingly accepted her will, but the tension remained. Some members still doubted the child's importance. They whispered in the shadows, plotting against the queen and Elias Thorne. Meanwhile, Elias felt the weight of his new role. He was no longer just a scientist or diplomat. He was the father of the future of the Salivary Empire. The responsibility was heavy, but he remained calm. He worked closely with the royal doctors to ensure the queen and the child were healthy. The pregnancy was unlike any other. The child grew faster than normal, developing new abilities as time passed. The scientists were amazed. The embryo combined human creativity with salivary strength in a way no one had seen before. It was a living symbol of two worlds coming together. Despite the tension, Virelia and Elias began to meet more often. Their relationship grew from cautious respect to something deeper. They shared stories about their cultures, fears, and hopes for the future. The queen, once furious and proud, started to see Elias not just as a human, but as a partner and equal. But danger lurked nearby. The faction that opposed the pregnancy became more aggressive. They spread lies and tried to turn the people against the queen and Elias. Rumors said the child would bring disaster and chaos. The palace guards increased their patrols, watching for threats. One day, a secret message reached Elias. It warned him of a plan to kidnap the queen and end the pregnancy by force. Elias took the warning seriously. He told Varelia immediately. The queen's face hardened. "They will not win," she said. "We will fight together." Elias helped organize a new guard, mixing human and Salveri soldiers loyal to the queen. They trained day and night, preparing for any attack. As the child grew stronger inside the queen, so did the bond between Varelia and Elias. They knew their future was uncertain, but they also knew they had to protect what they had started. The galaxy watched in silence. The birth of the hybrid child was near, and it could change everything. The palace was quiet for a while, but the tension never left. Queen Varelia and Elias Thorne knew that the greatest challenge was still ahead, the birth of their child. The whole empire watched and waited, some with hope, others with fear. Elias spent every day by the queen's side. He helped her stay calm and strong. He learned about the ways of the Salveri, their traditions, and their needs during pregnancy. Varelia, once proud and distant, now trusted Elias deeply. Their partnership had grown into something real. The palace doctors were busy, preparing for the birth. It was unlike any birth before, and no one knew exactly what to expect. The doctors worried about the queen's health. The child was strong, but the rapid growth put a strain on Varelia's body. One afternoon, Elias sat with the queen in the garden. The purple sky above them was calm, and the glowing plants made the place feel peaceful. Varelia smiled softly, a rare moment of peace. "Do you ever wonder what this child will be like?" Elias asked. Varelia looked up at the sky. "I don't know," she said, "but I believe it will be strong, stronger than either of us." They talked about the future, a future where humans and Salveri might live and work together. It was a dream that once seemed impossible, but now felt close. Outside the palace, the political battle continued. The council was still divided. Some members pushed harder against the queen's rule, calling her reckless. They whispered that the child was a threat to Salveri tradition. The queen's loyal guards kept watch day and night. Elias helped train new recruits, mixing human and Salveri fighters. Their bond grew stronger as they prepared to defend the palace. But trouble was coming. One night, a group of rebels tried to sneak into the palace. They wanted to capture the queen and stop the birth. The guards fought bravely and stopped them, but it was clear the rebels would not give up. Varelia stood on her balcony, looking at the stars. She felt the weight of her crown and the life growing inside her. She knew the birth would change everything, for better or worse. The queen's fury had softened into fierce determination. She would protect her child and her people no matter what. Elias held her hand and whispered, "We will face this together." As the night deepened, a calm settled over the palace, a calm before the storm. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The galaxy would never be the same after the birth of the hybrid child. The night sky over the Salveri palace was dark and quiet, but inside, everything was different. Queen Varelia felt a strange new pain in her body. The moment she had both feared and hoped for was finally beginning, the birth of her child. Elias was by her side. He held her hand tightly, trying to be strong for both of them. The doctors rushed in, checking the queen's condition. The palace was filled with nervous energy. No one had ever seen a hybrid Salveri human birth before, and no one knew what to expect. Varelia's breathing grew heavy. The pain was intense, but her eyes shone with determination. "This child will change everything," she whispered, more to herself than to anyone else. The scientists monitored the baby's vital signs. The child's heartbeat was strong and steady. This gave hope to everyone in the room. Elias watched the queen with admiration and worry. She was brave and fierce, but he knew the struggle was far from over. Outside the birthing chamber, the palace guards tightened security. There was fear that the rebels would try to attack during this vulnerable moment. The loyal soldiers stood ready to defend their queen and her unborn child at all costs. Hours passed. The pain came in waves, but Varelia stayed strong. Elias whispered words of encouragement, reminding her of the future they were fighting for, a future where humans and Salveri could live together in peace. Suddenly, the queen gasped, and the room filled with urgency. The doctors moved quickly. The child was coming fast. The baby's cry was unlike anything anyone had heard before. It was strong and clear, full of life and promise. The queen smiled through her exhaustion. Elias felt a rush of emotion. They had done it. A new life, born from two very different worlds. The child was small but perfect. Its skin had a soft glow, blending the colors of both parents. Its eyes, bright and curious, looked around the room as if understanding everything. The scientists and doctors were amazed. The baby's genes showed a mix of human creativity and Salveri strength, just as they had hoped. This child was not just a symbol. It was proof that two species could come together and create something extraordinary. Queen Virelia rested, holding her child close. Elias stood beside her, feeling a new kind of hope rising inside him. The palace was quiet again, but the future was already changing. Outside, the rebellion had not ended. But now, with the birth of the hybrid child, the stakes were higher. The Empire faced a new challenge, one that could unite or divide the galaxy forever. The queen looked at her baby and whispered, "This is only the beginning." The palace was alive with quiet excitement. The hybrid child's birth was no longer a secret. Word spread quickly through the halls and beyond the palace walls. Some people celebrated, while others still watched with fear and suspicion. Queen Virelia held her child close, feeling a new kind of strength she had never known before. The baby was small but full of life and promise. Its bright eyes seemed to shine with the future of two worlds. Elias Thorne stayed by the queen's side. He was proud but cautious. The child represented hope, but it also brought many dangers. The rebels who opposed the queen and her decision were not finished. In the days that followed, the palace grew more tense. The council was split. Some members wanted to embrace the new future, while others wanted to remove the queen and her child by force. Virelia stood firm. She knew that this child could unite the Salveri and humans like never before. "We will protect our future," she said to her advisors. The child grew quickly. The scientists were amazed by its strength and intelligence. Its body combined the best of both species, human adaptability and Salveri resilience. The baby's small hands grasped with surprising power, and its eyes showed early signs of sharp intelligence. Elias and Virelia spent every moment they could with their child. They shared stories and hopes, teaching it both languages and customs. The baby listened, seeming to understand more than expected. Outside the palace, the rebels gathered strength. They believed that the hybrid child was a danger to their way of life. Their leader, a cold and powerful Salveri noble named Varrock, planned his next move carefully. Varrock sent spies into the palace, hoping to find a weakness. The loyal guards grew more alert, ready to defend the queen and her child. The palace was no longer just a home. It was a battlefield for the future. One evening, Elias found a secret message hidden in the palace walls. It warned of a planned attack on the queen's chambers. Elias quickly told Virelia and the guards. The queen's eyes flashed with fury. "They will never take my child," she declared. "We will fight to the last." Together, Virelia and Elias prepared their forces. They trained soldiers, both human and Salveri, to defend the palace. The child, still small, became a symbol of hope and strength for everyone who believed in a new future. As the days passed, the tension grew. The rebels prepared their assault, but the queen and Elias were ready. The hybrid child had already begun to change the hearts of many, and that was a power no one could ignore. The battle for the future of the Salveri Empire was about to begin. The palace was ready for battle. Guards patrolled every corner, their eyes sharp and alert. Queen Virelia stood tall, holding her child close. Elias Thorne stood beside her, calm but ready. The rebels were coming, and this time they meant to end the future before it could begin. Outside the palace walls, the dark shapes of the rebel forces gathered. Varrock, the rebel leader, was determined. "This child cannot live," he growled. "It will destroy everything we know." But the queen was not afraid. "This child is the future," she said, "and we will protect it, no matter the cost." The battle began with a sudden roar. Rebels stormed the gates, but the palace guards fought back fiercely. The sound of weapons and shouts filled the air. The human and Salveri soldiers fought side by side, united by the hope this child represented. Elias moved through the battlefield, helping where he could. He was not a warrior, but his courage inspired many. The soldiers fought harder, knowing the child's future was in their hands. Queen Varelia commanded from the throne room, her voice strong and clear. She directed the defense with skill and passion. Her fury had turned into strength, a strength that burned brighter than any weapon. As the battle raged, Elias looked to the chamber where the child rested. The baby's eyes shone even in the dim light, full of life and promise. It was a symbol of hope in the darkest time. The rebels pushed harder, but the palace walls held strong. The loyalists fought with everything they had. Slowly, the rebels began to fall back. Varrock saw the fight slipping from his hands. He made one last attempt, leading his soldiers toward the queen's chambers. But the guards were ready. They stopped him before he could reach the door. With a final roar, Varrock was defeated. The rebels flowed into the night, their plans shattered. The palace was quiet again. The battle was won, but the war for peace and unity was just beginning. Queen Varelia looked at Elias and smiled. "We did it," she said softly. "Our child will grow in safety." Elias smiled back, feeling hope he had never known. "Together, we will build a new future." The hybrid child was the first of its kind, a bridge between two worlds. Its birth had changed the Salveri Empire forever. Word spread throughout the galaxy. Many came to see the new hope, to learn and grow together. Humans and Salveri began to build friendships and alliances once thought impossible. Queen Varelia ruled with wisdom and strength. Elias stood beside her, not just as a father, but as a partner in building a better future. The child grew strong and wise, learning the ways of both species. It became a symbol of unity, a living example that differences could be strengths, not weaknesses. The galaxy watched as the hybrid child grew, a promise that no matter how different beings might be, together they could face any challenge. The furious queen had become a queen of hope, and the human male who had dared to love her had changed the course of history. Their story was just the beginning, a story of courage, love, and the power to change the stars.